So would you look
Yeah.
for a slowdown here? So for the pullback, would you need a slowdown in momentum, or would you take a straight green candle? Let's say we're entering in that zone that you highlighted. How would you
Yeah.
approach
So
that?
no, that's a great question, because here's the thing. So I don't actually wait for confirmation. And I know that confirmation is, I don't necessarily think there's a right or wrong. Some people will say, as you guys know, with on the content side, people always tell you, you should have done the other thing whenever you're right or wrong, or when you're wrong, right? People will tell you, oh, you should have waited for confirmation, or you shouldn't have
Yeah.
waited for confirmation, right? So it's funny how that works. But for me personally, the way I would generally enter is that I'm not fundamentally bearish on gold, but if I was, I would just take it at this zone. I would know where my stop loss needs to be. I would know that I like that price level, regardless of whether it shows confirmation or not. As long as I have a fundamental bias, I'm willing to just take it at that level. But of course, each person has their own style, and I don't necessarily think waiting for confirmation is wrong per se either. Miko, if you want to jump in here on this this gold analysis we're doing here, a lot of people asking about it as we get going. If you want to share your screen, I'd love to see your take on this gold move.
Yeah, I've actually been looking at gold coming into the week. I was looking to short around the 2K mark, but unfortunately we never got that retracement to that level. So yeah, I'm currently still bearish on gold because I was bullish last time we spoke, which was a couple of weeks ago. But since then, the market bled to the downside and take out these lows here. So after we took out the most recent low, which gave us this bullish move, which created new highs, after we did that, I was no longer bullish and actually looking to short gold. Long term, I'm still looking for buys, and I think gold might be coming maybe 1950, 1900, and possibly looking for some reversals there to go back north. But coming into the week, I was looking to short on this level here and ride some counter trend plays to the downside, but never quite saw that. And obviously, gold's looking particularly very bearish right now. So I'm not really looking to do anything with gold. I was looking to short 2K, it never happened. So I'm just going to sit back and see what happens with this one. Like I said, I do expect eventually gold to find a higher low somewhere. As you can see, we're still printing these higher lows. So I think somewhere we can print a higher low. So I'm kind of just seeing what we do on the way down. And then maybe if you start looking like we're finding support, creating some bullish structure, then I'll start looking for some longs for play back up. But right now, everything is pretty bearish with gold, and now breaking through this structure, we could end up going further, which is what I think you guys were talking about as well.
Want to stay up to date with all the latest trading information? In the description below, you'll find the link to join our free Discord. The Discord gives you instant access to lots of helpful material like free trading courses, chart analysis, updates about what's happening in the A1 community, as well as discount codes for our other products and services. The best part, all of this and more is 100% free. So go down in the description below this video and check it out for yourself. If you're interested in upgrading to the full VIP Discord featuring our team of expert trader signals, you can use the live chat link in the description to get connected with one of our team members in seconds. So don't wait, go check out the free Discord today.
Miko, while you've got screen control, walk us through also. Have you seen the Nasdaq move that occurred? We had. If you want to just pull up Nasdaq, whether you traded or not, I still think it's just such an interesting chart here today. Nasdaq trading higher. Part of the reason for this, just context for those of you guys who are not familiar with kind of what has happened in the tech world. NVIDIA, the chip maker here in the United States, had a massive increase in their forward guidance as to the demand for semiconductor chips, right? So whether it's in your gaming computer or all sorts of different things use semiconductors. Well, they had a massive quarter and also forecast for future quarters in terms of demand, especially off of all this AI craze stuff that we've seen. All the tech companies are trying to get in on it, and who benefits from that? Well, tech or companies that create semiconductors that contribute to that industry. So Nasdaq trading higher here today. Technically, what's going on with it, Miko? And I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, Marco, in just a moment.
So yeah, I mean that move which you're speaking about was quite interesting, because I was looking at the indices and I was looking at US 30, S&P, and I was wondering why why US 100 was flying and the rest kind of weren't, and US 30 was quite bearish. So a little bit puzzled to that. But looking at from and obviously you clarified it there, but looking at it from a technical perspective, we're coming to some really key highs here. This was our last major low high, so it's a very significant area here for US 100 because on the weekly chart, this was our last low high, which created the new lows here. Now the market has found its way back at that resistance and potentially could be breaking through. So this could be the start of a lot more upside for US 100. Looking at this from weekly daily perspective, everything is looking pretty bullish so far. So with US 100, I mean, there's not much to do here because we're kind of at some uncharted areas we haven't been at for quite a while now. So unless we get some pullbacks and buys look good, but as to where we could go next, I mean, there's quite substantial areas. We've got places here, there's places on the left over here, potentially even the prior high over there as well. So what I'm seeing for US 100 is a lot more upside potentially, because now that we're breaking through that resistance there, breaking through the high, we could still see a lot more upside for this one.
Miko, I hope you're right in that regards, because if I'm going to brag for just a moment, I am long on NASDAQ. I'll show you guys my screen. So here's the thing. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong, and I've shared both. This one, I got to say, I felt really good about this trade yesterday. I picked it up, and I can't say I knew what was going to happen with NVIDIA. I'm not a crystal ball owner. If anybody in the audience has a crystal ball, please hit me up. I would buy it for any price. But, you know, in terms of the NASDAQ, I'm there with you. I would love to see this thing break out through the highs. Personally, you know, I wouldn't be looking to buy this either. I'd be looking at this point. I mean, I already am long, so I'm looking to see if we break it out. I'd love to trail my stop. I'd love to, you know, lock something in on this trade because I still have yet to do that. But to your point there, we're at a very important longer term level of resistance. You know, here's the weekly chart. You can see we are just trading just above, as you mentioned, notably, one of the last key lower highs in that downward pressure that we saw during 2022. So it'll be very interesting to see if we can trade and notably stay above current resistance here on that NASDAQ. So good points there. And Marco, can you confirm, can you please guarantee me that the chart continues higher? I could really use it.
I have a question for you. So what needs to happen for you to trail your stop right now, for you to move your stop loss?
Yes. So for me, what I like to do, so Marco, you made a point looking for in a downtrend, you're looking for lower highs to form, right?
Yeah.
To trail a stop. What I struggle with is exactly the point you just made. What do I do with my stop loss right now? Because if I toss it in here, I would be just kind of guessing where I think a lower high could form, right? Because in to your point there, what I kind of have to wait to see in terms of a point to trail a stop on this trade, I either need to see a higher low form, in which case I could perhaps, and higher low meaning it puts in a low and then it breaks through those highs yet again. That is what I personally, that's kind of what I deem a higher low confirmed. If that occurs, then I'm able to trail that stop behind it. But then the other scenario is that if it just explodes, as Miko was saying, you know, we're testing that key zone. If it just breaks right through that, you know, a break through that level, I'll probably just go ahead and assume that we should hold this structure. And if we don't, I don't know if I still like holding the trade anyways. So those are the two scenarios, either just a straight runaway trade in which I'm looking for a key zone to break and then I'm looking to trail behind it, or a higher low that I can kind of justify moving the stop on. So good, Marco, you've always got the great questions, man. That's a good question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I do a very similar thing. So swing highs, swing lows, just move it as it goes, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and Marco, so walk us through, I guess, your view of any of the indices. It could be the NASDAQ or any of them. And then I'll also just let you take the floor because I was selfish there. I just wanted to talk about my trade. So thank you guys for your analysis on it.
That's okay. So for the NASDAQ, what I'm seeing on the larger scale, I'm seeing a possible head and shoulders pattern.
Okay.
Actually reversed head and shoulders. So we have the left shoulder, head, and what I would look for is the right shoulder. And then I would look for the price to continue trending up. Also, you can make a case for this being a cup and then a handle, or AV reversal, and then a range, which is what I usually trade. So I would just look for a small consolidation here before the price breaks to the upside a bit further. And then once I get a confirmation of the break, because this level will surely be very strong, so I'll need to see at least one candle break and the second candle continue, then I would consider taking a long entry to the upside. So this is definitely, I would say, bullish, showing me some bullish pressure, but it's at a key level where I'm expecting a bit of a rejection, especially because I know a lot of retail has probably sold this stop and kept their stops above. So this is sure a liquidity area where the price will have some sort of a rejection. Maybe there will be some super high strength and we will just push through. But in my experience, in my backtesting, that's very, very rare to happen.
Yeah, good points there, Marco. And one thing that I like about having this dynamic where Miko and Marco, you guys have kind of, I would say, Miko, your method of trading on the pullback, you wait for that deeper pullback, kind of similar to myself. And Marco, what I find very interesting about your style is you have you're looking for just that very slight, brisk pullback that just continues very quickly, or you're out. And I think both styles can be excellent. You've got that chart that pulled up right now, that the US 100 chart. If you look at the far left extreme of your screen right now, you've got these explosive moves up and just these very brisk, tiny pullbacks, and then it explodes higher. So one argument I would say, and I don't trade that way, I don't look for such brisk pullbacks. I don't think, they're just not the way I trade personally. But to the point that I find fascinating about that way of trading is that generally when a chart is just explosive like that, the pullbacks are so brief, like they're just like little tiny brisk pulls, and then they just shoot yet again. So kind of interesting there. Miko, what we've talked a little gold here, we've talked a little indices. What are you looking at yourself? You have any trades on, or currency pairs, anything you're looking at?
Yeah, I've currently got a short on pound Swiss, which I entered since yesterday. Been moving sideways. Again, pound Swiss is a quite choppy pair, so kind of getting why I deserve a little bit. But pound CHF, I'm looking at some shorts here. I'm looking for another move back down to the lows. Basically, I'm looking for another lower high on a daily chart. Excuse me. So yeah, on the daily chart, the market's consistently performing these lower highs here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking to even catch the fifth one. We kind of got this, I forget the name. It's just like where we've got those lower highs and we've got equal lows, triangular pattern, something like that. But yeah, price kind of squeezing in this area. So I'm expecting longer term pound Swiss to actually break into the downside and clear out these lows. Because from a higher time frame perspective, we got very, very bearish for this pair. So eventually I do see us coming back to the lows. So I'm just trying to take part in these lower highs here and ride it back into the support, take my profit, and see if we can finally get the breakthrough, and then I'll start shorting on the way down on some pullbacks. But yeah, this is the current trade I'm in. Entered yesterday, still currently at my current entry, but we'll see how that plays out. I'm also looking at AUSD. This one recently ripped to the downside, taking out some key lows here on the left as well. And I think, again, from a long-term perspective, similar to pound Swiss, I think we're heading down to the prior lows here on the weekly chart. So now I'm just looking for the pullbacks to ride into the downside. I think this is more of an opportunity for next week because today's already Thursday. And again, I'm looking for those deeper pullbacks, as you mentioned just briefly there. I'm looking at this area here in particular. Got some really good confluence there, got good fib level there, possibly the next lower high coming to that trend line as well. So I'm looking to see if we can push back up, find some lower highs, and I'll look for my entry confirmation to short. But yeah, longer term for me, AU, I'm looking at 0.62. So any pullbacks I can see which are of good quality, fit my criteria, of course, I'll be looking to short them to the downside, and maybe even ends the USD as well. This one just about clearing some lows here, but I need this one to push a little bit further. But they're very, very similar pairs, so I think ends the USD could be heading down to those lows too. So I'm going to keep a close eye for those pairs heading into the week ahead.
I like that. Well, I like both of those charts that you mentioned, the last two, NZD and AUD is the dollar. One thing that I do like, and just fundamentally speaking about the New Zealand dollar for a moment, is that the RBNZ, they recently announced yet another rate hike this week, actually. But with that, they signaled that the rate hikes are done for New Zealand. And with that, when we talk monetary policy, even just on a high level, without getting too into the fundamentals, the concept of, hey, we're done rate hiking, yet there's still a possibility that the counterpart, the US, or perhaps if you're looking at the UK especially, they're more on the side of, we need to keep raising rates to squash inflation. That is a macro driver to currency trades around the world. If you're paying attention to central banks, that is, you'll always notice that, red folders after red folders, whenever there is a interest rate decision, those are the things that are really underlyingly driving these charts. So I actually really like the fact that New Zealand has said, hey, we're not raising rates anymore, just took their currency and just went, see you later. Because rate hikes, as we know, are generally a bullish thing for the underlying currency. And so we've seen that trade kind of fall apart. And so I think you have, yes, a beautiful technical chart, right? A pullback to this area could look great, but you also have that fundamental catalyst that could be really strong as well. So I like New Zealand dollar myself as well on a pullback. And like you said, perhaps closer to next week, as a pullback is 120 pips away. So nothing too immediate there. Marco, what about you? You have any trades open or things that you're entering nearby or close to looking at?
Yeah, so Aussie US dollar, same as you guys. I don't have a trade open, but it's definitely on my watch list. So what I like about it is, for the past couple of months on the 1 hour chart, I have mostly been seeing this sort of price action, so mostly ranges. And right now I'm seeing some heavy movement down, which is a really good sign that we will get further trends. So I really like these legs. I'm seeing momentum and I'm not seeing much buying pressure. So right here I'm seeing a bit of a slowdown. That is correct. Possible reversal, and which I'd be interested to exploit, maybe to the level that you guys were looking at for the retest. But again, that's not the rule. Anything can happen. So if I don't get an opportunity for a reversal, if we get more momentum down, then I would just look to sell, because I'm definitely seeing selling pressure and some clean price action. So this is the pair that is definitely on my watch list, and I really like it. It's showing me some clean price action especially compared to the past 4 months where I have just seen very corrective ranges. So yeah, Aussie US dollar, very good. And then another one for me is New Zealand Japanese yen. This one I like as well. I'm again seeing some cleaner legs. Throughout the last 3 weeks, I have seen some really clean movement. So we had this uptrend. Unfortunately, there were no pullbacks that fit my plan, which I could have gotten in. Actually, I had some orders on, but I didn't get tagged. But again, compared to this corrective price action we saw in the past couple of months, this is a very good sign. And especially now this big bearish leg, which continued. So I'm seeing if I will get more momentum down, and then I would just look for a pullback and I would look to sell. Very simple. This may just be some small consolidation, and I'm not seeing major buying pressure. So if I get more bearish candles, I would be interested as a seller.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, no, I think that the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar on the currency side are more on the more of the interesting ones on my watch list as well. So
don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free EdgeFinder, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.